Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video, and for this layout I really wanted to lean into the Prima papers that I have in this kit. The last page you saw, I really was trying to pull from the Cosmopolitan papers that I had, and I have a lot of Prima stuff left, so this page I really wanted to pull from the Prima side, get a lot of the Prima scraps used up that I've built up so far this month. I'm using this really cool kind of messy chevron background, which I know could look busy, but I have so many scraps that I just felt like this was the best paper to lay them all on. So right away I trimmed my two 4x6s into 4x4s. I'm going to mat them together on some white. And as you saw, I finally got myself some white cardstock. I'm so excited. I've been without white cardstock for a while now, and I've just had to make do with computer paper, which we all know is not the same. I'm inking everything in the ground espresso distress oxide. And this is just going to be a fun exercise in layering with scraps. I've loved this month because that's what I really enjoy doing, and I feel like that's almost been what every page has been this month because I started out with so many scraps in this kit, and I just scrapbook so much better when I have scraps, or it's so much more fun to me, I should say, when I have scraps that kind of make the page for you. So this was just another one of those pages where I'm just doing my happy little layering with my little bits. So trying to remember to ink everything as we go along. I'm starting out with this leftover of this map print from the Fleur de Fleur collection, and then I'm using the scrap of this polka dot paper, which is from the same collection as the background, which I'm pretty sure is Amelia Rose from Prima Marketing. But I'm just going to stack these scraps on either side. Neither of them were too big, so you can just see where I cut them in half, and I'm sandwiching them on either side of the photo, so hopefully they look like they're larger scraps. And they're just hidden behind the other layers. So this is where I'm starting, and then I'll go in with a couple more scraps. I ended up doing something really fun on this page. I had realized that I had some sequins that coordinated really well, and I hadn't been using them this month. Even when I had the scrap 5 to use sequins, I went with some Felicity Jane sequins instead of the sequins that I have from Pink Paisley's Auburn Lane, which are more of the rose goldy kind of coppery color. So you can see them in the upper left hand corner of the screen, but once I saw them I really wanted to do something with them because when we did the scrap 5, I kind of just used the sequins as I would enamel dots as like a finishing touch type of thing, but I feel like I really didn't get the most out of them that I could. And my favorite thing to do when I need to use sequins on a page is to make a shaker pocket, and I feel like I haven't made one in a while. Like the last one I can remember was like that massive like cut file shaker pocket I did for Wolfpack, which I still love that page. I still think about that one. That turned out cool because it was a kit from Christina and the Secret Not Secret Kit Club, and the sequins were a special mix from Spiegel Mom Scraps. So I just love how that turned out. But long story short, I wanted to make a custom pocket card or shaker pocket for this page. But I haven't realized that yet. So I'm just going with my scraps. I found a little scrap of this soft pink trim. I don't think it was initially in my kit, but when I saw it, I threw it into my kit because I thought that soft pink would be a really nice texture to add. And it was just the perfect size to thread a tag with. So I did take one of the cut apart pocket cards with the wood grain on the back. I'm pretty sure that was from the Rose Quartz collection. And I'm just turning it into a tag at the top of the page and a fishtail banner at the bottom. So I'm trying to make it look like it's a really long tag that runs behind all of these layers. But I like the interest that adds with the tag and the fishtail. And then I just used a white hole reinforcer and that pink trim to finish it off. And then I know there's one more layer I'll add behind everything. I think I'm doing it now. Am I doing it now? Yes. So I had a scrap of this kind of florally text print. It wasn't very big, but I cut it into a couple different sections, and I'm going to have it peeking out of the corners of all of these layers, so it looks like it's one big rectangular piece. And that's pretty much where my paper layers stop. And I was really happy with that because I feel like I used most of the Prima scraps I had accumulated at this point. And I'm really liking how it's looking with all the pinks and the gold. I love the gold in this collection because it's a very soft metallic. It's not super shiny and in your face. So I think this page is just being very pretty, how it's coming together. So I do want to gut behind all of these layers when I kind of get to that point because there's so much of it that's covered. I don't know if I do that yet or if I go down the sequin path because it takes me a minute to figure out what I'm going to do for my little sequins. So we're just staring at the page now, apparently, trying to figure out what to do. I think if there's too much of this left, I'll skip through it, but I thought I cut all of these parts out already. Here we go. So I had another pocket card of this wood grain, and I was saving it to use the front side of it because I really like the front side, but I hadn't used it all month long, and I didn't want to not use it when I had an opportunity just because I was being stubborn. So I decided just to use the wood grain part of it and have it be something that came out to the left of the photos, and it kind of pulled in that wood grain to create that visual triangle. But I wanted to use this as the base for my shaker pocket. So this is where I go on a tangent trying to figure out how to create this shaker pocket. I decide I want my shaker pocket in the shape of a bathtub. So I had to go through in my head the best way to execute that. So I'm just pulling in a scrap piece of black because I have so much like black scraps next to me to basically make a stencil. So I'm just playing around here. I'm trying to use my ruler for the straight edges and my glue tape for the rounded edges. And then I thought if I put little claw feet at the bottom, it would look more like a bathtub instead of a semicircle. So I'm just trying to doodle a bathtub shape, and it is what it is. It's not the best bathtub, but hopefully between the context of the photos, it will look like a bathtub to you. And I also had this idea that once I put all the sequins in the tub, it would look like bubbles. So it'd be like a bubble bath. That was what my thought process. So I'm fussy cutting my stencil here, and then I will trace the stencil onto that scrap of white, and I will use that as basically the top layer of my pocket cards. So I need to make a window out of the white. So I'm just gonna stencil that in pencil. And then I'll pretty much take this stencil that I'm making. I'll cut the middle section out like a semicircle out of the middle so it's a window. And then I will back that with my my foam tape so that there's dimension lining the window. And then I can flip it over and fill it with sequins and back it with the wood grain. And that will seal in the window with the sequins inside. So I hope that made sense. Hopefully you can just see what I'm doing. But this was the process I went through trying to figure it out. So I don't know. It looks like a bathtub. It's not the cutest bathtub, but here I'm going through and cutting out the middle section to be the window. I'm not worried about the pencil marks because I'm just thinking this will be the back of the window, so the other side will be the front, which is nice. I don't have to worry about trying to erase it. But there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and ink the wood grain so that it's ready to go once I get everything stuck down. I'm going to ink this little bathtub because I kind of feel like as a raw white it was looking unfinished, and I'm inking everything anyways, so decided to ink it. I did mess up a little bit because I decided just to use, I didn't have any like acetate, which I would have preferred to use as my window, but I did have some packaging, like plastic packaging from, I don't know, Thickers or something. So I decided just to trim a piece of the packaging as the window, which isn't ideal. But I glued it to the wrong side of my bathtub. I was supposed to glue it to the back side that had the pencil marks on it, and I glued it to the front, and there was no going back. So the acetate is actually on the front of my pocket card instead of on the back of this window. But yeah, this is just the process. I had a time making this, and I wanted you to see my struggle so that You know, it's not always just easy. Sometimes it looks easy when you watch other people do stuff, but I struggled with this bathtub. So now that I have glued the acetate to the wrong side, I'm just trying to fussy cut the acetate around the bathtub so that it doesn't look like it's messed up. You can see the glue a little bit through the acetate if you look closely, but I think the end product looks fine. You can't tell. Just when I did it, I was just like, Kelsey, why? Why did you do that? And then now you can see me going through the process of trying to ring the outline with the dimensional tape. And the dimensional tape was really thick, so I had to trim it into skinny strips, and then that was a struggle all its own. But we're almost there. So I'm getting all of the dimensional tape around the edge. I'm even doing little dimensional tape on the little feet of the bathtub. That way, once it's all glued down, it lays level. It was a fun process. You can clearly see I struggled with getting it together. But yeah, you can make a shaker pocket out of anything. You just look at your page and find something that's on theme, or not if you want. You could just do a heart. You can put a heart shaker pocket on anything. You can just make your own like this and hopefully not struggle as much as me. But we're almost there, I think. I might just cut to the part where I'm doing the sequins because this is painful to watch. And here we are with the sequins. Again, these are the sequins that come in the embellishment pack for Auburn Lane. It also comes with some epoxy shapes that I used, I think, on the first page this month, as well as some rose gold paper clips that I've used one of this month. So I'm glad I'm being able to use that too, because the Auburn Lane stuff isn't something I've pulled into this kit initially, but it matched so well. I've been pulling from it, which is also nice because I'm getting more stash used up, even though it wasn't in the initial kit. I think that happened a lot this month, actually. A lot of the initial embellishment I started out with I've used, but it still looks like I have a lot because I keep pulling more from my stash to add that I find coordinates. So that's been kind of fun. But as you can see, I just dumped my sequins into the window within all of the dimensional tape, and then I stuck the wood grain pocket card on top to seal it all in. And now I have my shaker pocket. So I wanted a lot of sequins in there. I really wanted it to fill up, but I wanted there to be a little bit of space so you could still shake it. And then once I did that, I figured I'd have some bubbles kind of floating up from the bathtub just for fun. So I did just do a little scatter with some sequins. So I'm going to get all of those glued down. And then once I had this element stuck down, I really felt like I needed some sequins in a couple other areas. So I decided to make a visual triangle with the sequins as kind of that finishing touch element. So I'll end up sprinkling a couple of them up there by the tag and down by the fishtail, just so it's across the page and it's not just this one little element. But now I'm going through trying to get all of the sequins glued down. I'm using my Nuvo glue because it dries clear, and I know I'm going to have some overflow with how I decided to glue these down, so that way I just didn't have to worry about my page being sticky or you seeing this yellow glue, which is what it looks like when you have some spillage with the Tombow glue that I use. But before I glue everything down, I am just going to gut this background. I do have another piece of Prima paper, so I'm still hoping to get this scrap used up. But I love this chevron, and the back is a pretty neutral floral. So I'm thinking that will get used up hopefully at some time this month. I'm going to back this in my scrap piece of black, and I already had my Nuvo glue out, so I decided just not to mess with the double-sided tape, which is how I usually glue the stuff down. And I actually like that. It feels really secure using the wet glue. Now I'm going to glue down all of the layers. So this is the bulk of the page. I still want to embellish a little bit though. So I have the sequins doing a lot of the work. I think the focal point is that bathtub. So I don't want to do too much, but I do just feel like it's too plain on the other areas of the page. So now that I have this glued down, I'm trying to see what else I can pull in. I do have, I thought about using some more of these tabs, but that pink was just not the right pink, and I thought it was being distracting. So I pull that tab back off. But I do have a couple embellishments from the Prima Marketing Rose Quartz collection, and I wanted to use some of them. So I have two of them here. I have this one that says fun, and I kind of like that one because it almost looks like the doodly ovals in the background is like rain. So I was like, that kind of goes with like the bath shower theme. This was the first time I ever gave Billy a bath, so he was so happy when he first got in the bathtub, and then he looks so sad after when I did his after picture. He just looks like a drowned little rat, and so I wanted a little before and after with how dry and fluffy and happy he was at first, and then how sad he looked once we were done. So I decided I would use the one that said fun, even though, yeah, I don't know, that first picture Billy's having fun. He's not having fun in the second photo, but that kind of leans into what I decided to do for my title. I wanted to play off of this embellishment piece I did that said fun. I did back that on some foam as well, so there's some dimension. But that gave me my idea for my title. But before I get to my title, I'm just adding those sequins to those other two areas. I just wanted a couple scattered around just so you had that same color and texture around the page and not just the tub. So gluing that down, and while that glues, I'll start working on my title. You see I have those gold foiled tile alphas to the left there, and I've been trying to use those this month, although I think I've only used them maybe twice out of all the layouts. But I decided to do my journaling as my title with those tile alphas so that I could really use a lot of them. So I'm going to pull them out and lay them all out on my ruler just to make sure I have everything I need. And I also am not sure how I'm going to space it. So by gluing them on my ruler first, I have a little bit of freedom to move around which words I want where. But I've cut through most of this so you don't have to watch all of it. But I am just going to spell out it's all fun and games until somebody needs a bath, because I think that's funny and it goes with the theme and it explains the photos. So again, I won't make you watch all of this. I'm going to transfer all of those tiles just to the right side of the page. But I like that because it adds all that gold to the right side, which kind of balances out the bathtub that's on the left. And it serves multiple purposes because it's my title and my journaling. But here are the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make a shaker pocket. They're fun, even though you struggle sometimes. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.